Welcome to Mindset Mondays, where we empower contractors like you with the tools, systems, and frameworks, not just to succeed in business, but in life as well. Join us as we explore the strategies that will elevate your work, insights that will clear your path, and stories that will inspire your journey. Because here, it's about more than just the build. It's about crafting a legacy.
All right, welcome to Mindset Monday. Some of you guys on the West Coast are still rubbing the sleep out of your eyes. Some of you guys on the East Coast are already figuring out what you're eating for lunch. But regardless of where you are in this great nation, the United States of America, welcome and thank you for joining us here on Mindset Mondays. Now, the weekend is a really interesting thing, right? Because the weekend can be used one of two ways. And the problem is that society has told us that the weekend is for us to rest, to recover, or really to forget about the week. But really the weekend, if done right, yes, rest, yes, recover, but more than anything, it's prepare for the week ahead. Because the last thing that you want to do is wake up Monday morning to a phone full of messages, an inbox full of emails, and your employees beating down your door because they don't know what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to do it. So let's focus on making the weekend, as I like to call it, the strong end. But today I actually want to talk about what happened not this last weekend, but the weekend prior, that being the Super Bowl. Now, this Super Bowl was the most watched event ever. More than the lunar landing in the 60s, more than anything that happened in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. The most watched event ever. Why do I want to talk about the Super Bowl? Well, I could really care less if you like the Chiefs or the 49ers, whether you believe it's a conspiracy that the Chiefs won or not. Irrelevant. I really want to talk about the spectacle that is the Super Bowl. Now, if you're watching us or listening to us live, go ahead and drop your information in the chat. Drop a, hey, what's up? Give me your name. Give me your business name, where you're from, and we'll shout you out here on the show. All right. So when we're looking at the Super Bowl, I want you to look at it from a completely different lens. Eating while watching. Appreciate the tips like that. Thank you, sir. I want you to look at it from a different lens, right? The way that most people look at the Super Bowl is from the consumer lens, right? You are consuming the commercials. You're consuming the game. You're consuming the halftime show, the festivities, the sphere. You're consuming all of these things. And that's the way that you've been taught since you were little, right? You are a consumer, not a producer. Now, as a contractor, though, guess what? You are a producer. And so I'm going to start to meld or melt these two worlds, bring them together, if you will. Think about this. What's the true purpose of the Super Bowl? Is it to hand out a trophy? Is it so that one team gets rings worth millions of dollars with tons of diamonds? What's the real purpose of the Super Bowl? The purpose of the Super Bowl, believe it or not, has nothing to do with the game itself. It has everything to do with the reach of the game. It has everything to do with what can we sell the audience of the game, right? Now, I've had the opportunity to not go to a Super Bowl, but to be in town when I used to live in Arizona when the Super Bowl was there. And I can tell you that it is 100% a marketing ploy. And the NFL and its partners do a masterful job of leveraging the Super Bowl to create opportunities, right? Now, what kind of opportunities am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about opportunities for you to be able to generate income. Yes, that's right, boys and girls. The NFL is not a nonprofit. The NFL is an entity that's in it to make money, right? So if you think about it that way, what do you think the revenue for the NFL was in 2023, right? Revenue created by the NFL in 2023. Actually, let's just go back a couple of years. Let's go back to 2020. The revenue in 2020 generated by the NFL was $9.47 billion. 2021, $9.89 billion. 2022, $11.1 billion. 2023, $11.98 billion, right? Almost $12 billion. So for you to say, no, the NFL is all about my team. The NFL is all about my colors. The NFL is all about giving back to the community. The NFL is a business, and they are in the business of making money, just like every other business is. And honestly, just like your business should be. Now, I'll give you some other statistics, some other numbers that have to do with the Super Bowl, okay? The halftime show, whether you watch it or not, is irrelevant because the truth is a lot of people do. In fact, there's people that tune in just to watch the halftime show. I like music. I'm not a huge music fan, so you won't catch me jamming out to Usher or buying a pair of roller skates I think that they had this year, rolling around on stage. That's not my jam, right? But my jam is understanding how businesses work. So here we go. Here's some numbers for you. Apple Music. Everybody knows Apple, but Apple Music is a division of Apple. They pay the NFL $50 million annually to sponsor the Super Bowl halftime show. $50 million. Okay? Usher, who was the artist this year, doesn't get any of that money. Not a dollar. So how does Usher and how does Apple Music, how do they make their money? Right? So let's go through the numbers a little bit. Usher, he's going to perform for free. He doesn't get paid to perform there. Okay? But he gets to leverage the viewership of the Super Bowl. Okay? Now, what was the viewership of the Super Bowl this year? $123 million. I'm stuck on dollars now. 123 million people watched the Super Bowl. 123 million people, okay, in the U.S. So now Usher, who wants to sell tickets, albums, whatever else you want to call it, Usher has access now to 123 million people. For an extended period of time, it's just him. So it's going to help him gain followers, sell tickets, increase streaming numbers. So here's how it works, okay? In the past, some of the world's most famous artists have performed at the Super Bowl. Prince, Michael Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, the Rolling Stones, Rihanna. None of them were paid. But here's how the financials work, right? So the NFL signs a $50 million sponsorship deal, right? The artists get about a $10 to $15 million production budget. The budget covers 2,000 to 3,000 part-time workers, set design, security, dancers, marketing. But again, the artists don't get any of that money. In fact, some of the artists end up spending millions of dollars of their own money on the performance. I don't know if you guys remember The Weeknd. For instance, he spent $7 million of his own personal cash on his show at the Super Bowl 55. Dr. Dre, 2022, the same, about $7 million. But why did they do it? They did it for exposure. Again, on average, the last few years, the Super Bowl has been watched by 115 million people. This year, almost 124 million people. Brands this year spent $7 million for 30 seconds of commercial time. $7 million for 30 seconds. Usher is performing at halftime, or I should say performed at halftime, and got 13 minutes uninterrupted. Free. He didn't have to pay for it. Right? Now, what does the data say? The data. Let's go back to this. Justin Timberlake saw a 534% increase in music sales after Super Bowl 52. Not double, a 534% increase. Travis Scott His performance fee doubled from $500,000 to $1 million after Super Bowl 53. Jennifer Lopez and Shakira gained 3 million Instagram followers after Super Bowl 54. Here you go. Rihanna, the number one most streamed artist globally, 17 songs in the top 40 on Spotify, gained 3 million Instagram followers. I mean, her beauty line increase, or her beauty line searches, or searches for her beauty line, increased 833%. Here's another one. Rihanna's performance at the Super Bowl had more views than the game did. She had 118 million views. The game had 115 million viewers, right? So Usher, guess what? Is he just doing this for charity because he loves to perform? No, right? What does Usher do? Usher has a few tricks up his sleeve. Guess what he has coming out? A new album that dropped 2 days before the Super Bowl. He also signed several endorsement deals, and it was going to be in a commercial, right? But his big play was promoting his tour. StubHub, I know most of you have purchased some kind of ticket on StubHub before. StubHub says artists typically see a 50% increase in concert ticket searches after performing at the Super Bowl. Back to The Weeknd. He sold 1 million tickets after his performance. That's why he announced his 24-city arena tour the day before the Super Bowl. And tickets go on sale, you guessed it, immediately after he steps off the stage. This is a win-win. Why? The NFL gets the top performing artists at their event, and they get to do it for free. And the musician, what do they get? 13 to 15 minutes in front of $115 million or 115 million plus people. That's marketing at its highest level. So think about this for a moment. You're a business owner, right? And for a lot of contractors, when it comes to marketing, their version of marketing is, I'm going to post my business card on different websites, or I'm going to post my business card in different Facebook groups, or I'm going to put a post to all my friends and family and say, I'm open for business. Is that marketing? Yes. Yes, it is. Congratulations. The very basic form of marketing. But if marketing is truly to build know, like, and trust factor, do you really think you're going to be able to grow a 7, 8, or even 9-figure business by simply posting in Facebook groups? By simply posting a couple of pictures of some jobs you did? The answer is a resounding no. Marketing is all about growing your business. And too many contractors don't market at all. Literally, no marketing. They consider posting on Facebook in a group when somebody says, hey, I'm finishing my house, or hey, I have a set of house plans, or hey, I need a painter, plumber, electrician, landscaper, insert trade. They consider that marketing. When they post in the comments, hey, I'm a painter, or I'm a plumber, I'm a whatever, send me a DM. And then they're extremely shocked and surprised that, one, they don't get any calls or messages, but two, their business isn't growing. Right? Because that's not what this game is about. And it's time for you as a contractor to learn how to play the game the right way. I have a good friend of mine, Joseph Hughes is his name. He has a business, and he literally teaches contractors how to create their own marketing strategies. And you, whether it's you and your cousin Joe, or you've got 30, 50, 150 employees, need your own individual marketing strategy. Now, I'm not saying you have to jump on Facebook, right, and start running ads, or you need to buy a billboard downtown. A marketing strategy doesn't necessarily always involve a whole lot of money, but it needs to be a strategy nonetheless. Now, I have a question for you. What do you currently do to market your business? Go ahead and drop it in the chat so we can share it with each other and I can talk about it. But what is it that you currently do to market your business? Hey, and don't be shy. if you are the guy who posts in Facebook groups, hoping and praying that you're going to pull some business out of there, drop that in the chat. All good. If you have something more specific that you do, great. If you do run pay-per-click campaigns or Facebook ads, awesome. But what is the thing that you do to market? Do you actually have a marketing plan, right? So go ahead and drop that in the comments so we can share it with everyone. While we're waiting for those comments to start rolling in, I want to talk about another example. Now, I will tell you that some of these examples, personally, I could care less about, but they're examples of marketing genius nonetheless. Think about the Kardashians. What is their claim to fame? Can you give me something? No, you can't. Reality TV, right? And the ability to grow an audience. And what is an audience? It's people who already know, like, and trust you, which then allow you to turn around and sell something to them. Don't ask me the Kardashian names because I don't remember them all. I know one of them, though, has a beauty line worth over $1 billion. A beauty line that all came about because of her ability to curate a list of followers that knew her, that liked her, that trusted her. Mr. Beast. Most of you know who Mr. Beast is. I think he's between number 1 and number 2 now, but for a long time he was the most streamed person on YouTube. He would just create videos and create more videos and then create more videos and eventually got sponsors and eventually things grew from there to where Mr. Beast now partners with companies and takes what's called a revenue share of everything that he promotes on his channels. And he makes hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, he may have crossed the $1 billion mark. Not really sure. He didn't share his financials, right? But why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want you to see it for what it really is. It's marketing, right? When you see a billboard, guess what that is? It's marketing. When you slap a name on a sweater or a t-shirt, that's marketing. When you throw a magnet or a wrap on your truck, that's marketing. It's all marketing. But is all marketing created equal? The true answer to that is no. But how do you know? How do you know if what you're doing right now is working or not? Well, guess what? You have to start tracking your results. What should you be tracking in your marketing? Well, you should be tracking people who are, if it's online, liking, commenting, or clicking through to whatever it is that you're offering. You should be tracking views. You should be tracking comments, right? You should be tracking, ultimately, sales. I worked with he was a locksmith, and he was a really nice guy, a great guy. And he decided that he was going to sponsor a tent booth, whatever you want to call it, for these once-a-week community events in the park. And you've seen these before. They bring food trucks. They bring different vendors. They bring, games and whatnot. So we'll talk about word of mouth here in a second. We got some comments rolling in. So I'm going to pause and read the comments real quick. Facebook has worked well for me. Can we pull that one back up real quick? So we got Facebook has worked well for me through our community and surrounding closed page. However, it's mainly word of mouth. Again, word of mouth isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we'll talk about referral marketing here in a minute. So Adam, back to this locksmith, great guy. He said, hey, I want to get in front of some people. And so he sponsored and had this booth, and it was great. He's a great guy. His wife's a great person, but he didn't get any results out of it. And so next week he went and he did it again, and he did it again, and did it again. And I asked him, I was like, why do you keep doing this? And he said, well, because I want to get in front of more people. But here's the problem. How many homeowners have lock issues on a regular basis? The truth is, not very often, especially nowadays with technology, right? And so he had the right idea to market, but he was just going about it the wrong way. So I'm going to put a pin in that one, and I'm going to talk about referral marketing. Now, here's the cool thing about referral marketing. It doesn't cost you anything, right? It's friends, it's family, it's past clients referring business over to you. It is awesome. And honestly, it's going to be your highest close rate when it comes to new sales. Why? Because you're being referred by a trusted source, which means they already trust you. So that's great. The problem is you don't control it. You don't control it. Do you know when Cousin Bob is going to refer you a new roof? No. Do you know when your neighbor is going to refer somebody who needs to get their backyard done? No. Like, you don't know these things, right? And so ultimately what it does is it puts you in this position of desperation, because now you're hoping and praying and waiting that you're going to get some referrals that come into you. And yet, you don't know when they're coming into you. So that's like the worst feeling. You're staring at your phone, hitting refresh on your browsers, hoping that you might get some emails coming. You don't know when they're coming in. And so that's not really marketing in its truest form. So combining all of these things together, what is the thing that you need in order to grow your business? Well, the first thing you need is to understand who it is that you want to work with. What do I mean by that? Well, the truth is you don't want to work with everybody. I don't want to work with everybody. You have a particular ITA that you really want to work with. Now, what's an ITA? That's an ideal target audience. Some people call it avatar. There's some perfect client. There's all kinds of different words you can use. I use the term ITA. When we're looking at an ITA, we're looking at people that have a need for what we offer. That was cool. Thumbs up, buddy. They have a need for what we offer, and more importantly, they have the ability to pay for it. Right? They have the need, they have the ability. So if you're a roofer, for example, and you want to make money re-roofing or doing insurance claims or doing whatever it is, if you go, this is not a judgment on people, but if you go to the poor neighborhoods, odds are they're probably not going to have insurance. And so for them to even pay out of pocket for one of your roofs is what? Not really high. Okay? So you're talking to the wrong people. If you're a landscaper and you want to build your book of business, if you go and try and knock on doors in an area where most of the yards are rock and cactus, odds are you're not going to get a lot of work because people don't have a need for your services, right? So it's about identifying who you want to work with first. You can't craft a marketing plan, a marketing message, and a marketing campaign if you don't know who it is that you want to work with. So who is your ideal target audience? Who do you want to work with? Is it homeowners? Is it builders, developers? Is it more commercial work? Right? That's the first thing you got to understand. Because from there, we can start to build out a plan. So let's just say it's people that like to build homes. So we talk about remodelers and so on and so forth. We got another message came in, says, I also teamed up with an HVAC company who's always in need of an electrician when new equipment is installed. Yeah, Thumbtack, good luck on that one. But yes, we'll talk about partnerships here in a minute. So the first thing you got to do is figure out who you want to work with, okay? Now let's just say that I'm a framer and I want to work with builders and remodelers, okay? If I go to a neighborhood block party and sponsor it, am I going to come across builders and remodelers? Probably not, at least not at the frequency that I would like to. If I go and I sponsor the Home and Garden Show and I put a booth up there, am I going to come across builders and remodelers? Maybe, but probably not. Why? Because home and garden shows are meant for consumers. See what I mean? Now, where do builders and remodelers hang out? Well, number one, they're on the job site, okay? Number two, there's a high likelihood that they're part of some kind of association, right? An association of builders and remodelers, association of home builders, right? So there's a good place. The point is that you have to start to look at not just who you want to work with, but where are they? And that's where you need to spend your time and your energy. If I was, again, a framer that was looking to connect with more general contractors, more remodelers, I would go to a few different places. Number one would be those trade groups, 100%. I would join those trade groups and I would start to build relationships inside of there. Number two, I would go to real estate brokerages and I would start talking to the realtors who are actively involved in building and remodeling. Here's a shocker for you. There's a good number of them. Okay. Number three is I would start asking both of those groups on who it is that I need to have a conversation with. Right? Start to connect the dots. The next thing I would do is literally get in my truck and start driving around to job sites and find builders and remodelers. They're out there. Okay? So, again, who do I want to work with? Where are they? And then we're answering a third question as well, is who has access to them already? These trade groups, they've already built the trade groups. They're already there. Cool. Go make friends with them, right? If you want to work with homeowners and you're a tile guy, guess what? You can go talk to realtors as well, right? Why? Because realtors work with homeowners, okay? So they already have access to them. Same thing, there was a message earlier that talked about an electrician and an HVAC becoming partners. That's another thing. If you're a trade business owner, you should have a trade network. Now, I call this guerrilla marketing. I'll let you in a little secret here. I call it guerrilla marketing, but I want you to think about it this way. What's the likelihood of you closing a job in a Facebook group when someone asks for insert trade? Just call it again, back to Framer. And there's 122 different people who respond. What's the likelihood? Not very high. What's the likelihood if someone posts that they need a framer in the same Facebook group and there's 10 to 15 people who all refer the same person? High likelihood, one, that you're going to get a call, two, that you're going to get the job. So yes, you should be building trade groups inside of your local area. Find the guys you like to do business with, you like to do work with, that you want to refer business over to them. You're going to help them grow, but guess what? They're going to help you grow too, right? If you're a landscaper, you should be connecting with exterior guys. If you're a landscaper, you should be connecting with painters. If you're a landscaper, you should be connecting with roofers, right? People who are touching the outside of a house. Because if you show up to do a bid or you're doing a job and you notice that the paint looks like crap. Hey, Mr. Jones, I just want to let you know if you ever need a painter, I have a guy that I work with pretty consistently. Great guy. He can do awesome, right? I'd love to refer him over to you. Oh, you know what? Actually, I do need a painter. Boom. Right? Had a comment come in that says, speaking of builders, I've had a lot of success in newly formed subdivisions. A lot of the home builders don't provide custom light fixture installation. A lot of work from this. Bingo, bango. Dead on. Dead on. You can do this with light fixtures is a good one. If you do any type of like security or home automation, that's a good one, right? If you do garage floor coverings, right? Like, there is no shortage. I just want you guys to know this. There's no shortage of opportunity out there for you to grow your business. The problem that you have is you don't know how to grow your business. You're really good at your trade or your craft. You've got years and years and years of experience. That's awesome. But it's time for you to learn how to actually grow your business. It's time for you to take control of your marketing. We could have an entire conversation on Facebook ads and pay-per-click and all that. But if you can't figure it out without spending $1, spending $10,000 isn't going to do anything. You're just going to end up buying Mark Zuckerberg another private island, or he's going to buy out another neighbor's house, right? And he's going to thank you for it. But you're going to be out $10,000. My recommendation to you is to take control of your marketing. What if you had a clear plan on who you wanted to work with? What if you knew exactly where they were? What if you knew what their problems and their pains were? What if you knew who had access to them and you could get in front of them? What would your business look like? Seriously, what would it look like? What if it simply added another 5 jobs a month? What would that do for your business? What if you were able to duplicate that effort and added 10 jobs a month, or 15, or 20? You look at some of these companies that are doing 8 and 9 figures. They're not doing 8 and 9 figures because they started there. They started right where you were. So whether you're doing under 100,000, you're doing 500,000, you're pushing past 7 figures, either way, it's time for you to start to take control of your marketing message. It's time to take control of your marketing actions. It's time to put yourself in a place where you can succeed. And this game is all about taking control, because the last thing you want to do is be on your hands and your knees praying that the next job will come in. Get up, get a clear message, and then go to work. All right. That's all we got for you guys today. We appreciate you showing up on Mindset Monday. Take one thing from this conversation, apply it, get to work, and let's go build the contracting business of your dreams. All right. You know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Mindset Mondays. Thank you for joining us and being a part of this incredible journey to not just be great at what you do, but to live a great life too. Remember, every tool, tip, and story shared here is a step towards building your dream, both on and off the job site.